Cory Doctorow, scrittore, blogger e attivista del Creative Commons e Iper-esposto sul fronte mediatico. È autore di racconti di fantascienza, blogger, nonché volto di punta dell'attivismo socio-culturale che negli ultimi anni si è formato attorno al mondo delle licenze Creative Commons. Alla View Conference, Doctorow parlerà di diritto d'autore e della relazione di questo con il web.
I use Creative Commons licenses for three important reasons. The first is commercial. I think I sell more books that way. I think provided that more people download a book and then go out and buy it than download the book and instead of buying it, I'll continue to make money. So far that seems to be the case. But there's also a couple of other important considerations. One of them is moral. I copy, you copy, everyone we know copies. My whole adolescence was defined by copies. I often say I never would have met a girl until I was 20 if I didn't make mixtapes. And so for me to go around and copy other people and say, well, that was just sort of normal, but when you do it to me, that's theft, it just makes me feel like a hypocrite. But there's also an artistic dimension because it's the 21st century, and you know, it's not like copying is going to get harder. I mean, our grandchildren are going to marvel at how stupid and hard it was to copy things now. And so I feel like as a science fiction writer, I need to be making at the very least contemporary work, if not futuristic work. It's not really contemporary to make stuff that you don't think people are going to copy. It's more like being, you know, a Renaissance reenactor or something, and that's cool if that's what you want to do, but I'm a science fiction writer. I guess publishers and open philosophy, whatever that is, can peacefully coexist to the extent that making books available on an open basis serves their financial goals and their other commercial goals. So publishers worry about a lot of things. They worry about how much money a given book will make. They worry about how much money a book will cost. And then they worry about what happens in the broader marketplace for books. They worry about whether or not distribution is consolidating into a few hands. They worry about whether or not there aren't enough retailers left, and so each retailer ends up with disproportionate control over their publishing schedules. In the US, where there's only two major chain booksellers, or one now left, that major bookseller, if they say, well, there's a writer we're not interested in anymore, publishers can't publish them anymore, because if the chain won't take them, they can't publish them. I think that openness can solve a lot of these problems. I think that it gives you broader access to audiences outside of traditional distribution channels. It makes it possible for retailers to sell books without locking readers in the way that they would if they were using DRM, where the reader gets locked to the retailer's platform, the retailer's DRM, and the publisher can't take the DRM off. The author can't take the DRM off. Only the DRM vendor can. And I think that to the extent that it acts as a way of acquiring audiences, it makes it cheaper to publish books. Publishing, the important thing about publishing isn't printing, and it's not investing, and it's not copy editing or proofreading. A publisher's first job is to make a work public. That is to identify a work and take whatever steps are necessary to introduce that work to its audience. And you know, by that definition, Google is the most successful publisher we've ever had. Because what Google does is identify all the works on the internet, and then when someone comes along who's interested in a work, it figures out what work to give them. And they do a pretty good job of it. I think Google has a lot of salient features. Among the ones that I would try to emulate if I were in the traditional publishing world is Google's a lot cheaper to run than all the other publishers that have existed to date. They can roll out new features, and their cost to serve any particular customer is a lot lower than a publisher's costs. They're also a lot more experimental. They do a lot of analysis of what people do on their service, and then they can change their service day to day and week to week. Publishers tend to move in a much slower time frame, and they tend to make much bigger bets. They don't make a small change and see how it goes and then make another small change. They tend to make a giant ponderous leap forward that takes a long time to get there and a long time to gather data on, and is very hard to iterate and refine. I think if you're going to be a publisher in the future, you're going to have to be able to do that.